Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, Kyle, how you doing tonight, man?
I am great. Brock, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, for everybody that's tuning in right now, you're hearing Kyle Thompson on the line, and Kyle is stepping in for Danny tonight, and we are going to be having a really fun conversation. But before we get into that, we're just going to, shoot the breeze a little bit and to see how things were going. But how was your day today?
My day was good. Just trying to think. When you're asked that question, you have to recreate things from the beginning, and so much has happened.
True.
Which morning
True.
did I have this morning? No, it was a good day. Experiencing some pretty strong separation anxiety with my baby, with my 1-year-old. Where it's great holding her, and it's like the minute she feels a little bit of altitude drop, it's like game on, and she just starts crying and sounds a siren. So it's like, I mean, it's just classic what it is. So if we can get her down playing toys, interacting with my 4-year-old, the older one, it's like that's magic right now. They're really getting along really well. So today was a good one. I think a lot of people can agree that, I'll be the first to admit, lately it's been rough at times. But that's kind of comes with the territory of, a full year under pandemic conditions, and in Minnesota getting into winter, the weather's changing. So
Yeah.
everyone's kind of feeling a little bottled up, which, hey, it's normal. But yeah, today was a good one. So sing the praises.
Well, that's good, man. Yeah. Danny and I have been talking for the past few weeks, and Danny's in Georgia. So like when it comes to weather conversations with him, it's all really nice weather for the most part, down there in the South or whatever. So having a conversation with somebody that's a little bit more in the Great White North and dealing with some more adverse weather conditions compared to most, I'm sure that I know that we were talking on a previous episode about what do you do during the winter months and stuff, but I'm sure that with a 1 and a 4-year-old, that's definitely got to be challenging.
We find, the fun things that we can find. It's just making the most of it. We are maybe 20 minutes from the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport, and I've recently discovered they have this really cool kind of viewing parking lot.
Okay.
So it makes you kind of feel like you're behind the scenes, and for the
nice.
kiddos, for Mimi, she's looking out the window, seeing these gigantic planes as we're driving up. So then we park, and then we just sit. We can watch them for a while. She calls it blasting off. I don't correct her because it sounds great.
Yeah.
So that, and then there's a state park that's nearby. So it's cold and everything. We try to get out, do a small hike.
Yeah.
That's really not anything. It's maybe a couple hundred yards and then back to the truck, but it's getting out of the house. And
right.
That can be important.
That could be very important. Getting out of the house. I think I keep seeing lots of people, not just within like the dads group, but just outside of that, talking about like, I'm quarantined. I'm not, we're trying to stay away from things. And it's like, you got to figure out some way, like just get out in your yard, go for a walk down your street, something like, it's like, you don't have to be stuck in your house. Like that's not healthy. If you're healthy and you
Right.
can get out and go for a walk,
Right.
do it. So that's great that you're getting out and doing that.
Absolutely. Like, playgrounds are a little tricky now.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of a not, you get nature walks if it's not too windy and blustery out, but
that's not bad. I mean, yeah, like you said, like you're getting out at least. That's the key. So, but it's a challenge. And tonight we're going to be talking about challenges. So we'll just segue right into that.
Yeah. Like one of the big challenges before you get out of the house is making sure that your little ones go to the restroom.
Hey,
and take care of business.
That's usually a good thing to do. Yeah. I like that.
How about that for a segue?
I love it. Yeah, you're helping build the segue. This is great. So if anybody hasn't figured it out yet, we'll just keep putting clues in there until we finally get to what we're going to tell you. But yeah, no, I think definitely making sure that your kids have gone to the bathroom beforehand for leaving the house is you're definitely in the right step towards making sure that you're going to have a good outing, but that can sometimes be an issue. I think you and I have both dealt with this. You recently, me, and a few years ago, and kind of coming out on the other end of it, which is another fun little pun too.
On the other end of it.
So, just so anybody that's listening, we might say a few words possibly that your kids might not want to hear. I don't know, but I think this episode we're just going to tag it as hashtag share your shit. And so
there you go.
That's a really kind of an inside joke my wife and I have always had with when people tell us about poop when it comes to either them or their kids or whatever. And I feel like parents have just as good of stories about maybe a situation as a parent as they do with just their kids in general. But tonight we're going to talk about actually an issue of constipation, and kids get backed up. And man, it can be stressful and just all kinds of anxiety and different things like that. And so we just want to kind of discuss what Kyle and I have gone through in our houses with our kids and share that with you guys. And I think it'll be fun. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're going to do now. We're going to talk about poop. I mean, I think that's
Poop
yeah,
is
if
fun,
you're going to
man.
be a dad, you parent at all, like you're going to talk about poop. I'll share a little bit about like what was going on in our house. My son's 7 now. A few years ago, he was just in this state where he would sit on the toilet to go and nothing would come out, and he'd get really frustrated. And my wife and I, we would get really frustrated. We're like, what's going on? And here to come to find out, he was constipated. Now I'll tell you what, we actually took him to the doctor. Took him and had him x-rayed at Children's here in town. And I've never really seen the inside of an intestinal tract before until that point. It was eye-opening, let's just say the least.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And it was like this, okay, how do we get it out? Like how do we help this kid, And I think even before that, like I got really frustrated with it. I found myself getting angry at my kid because he would be like, I got nothing. And I'm like, how can you have nothing? Like there's stuff in there. Why isn't it coming out? And so, yeah, it was, there was a lot going on with that, but I dealt with some anger throughout it, and honestly, and I think it was as rough on my kid as it was on me, in the fashion of like, I was not in the best place with him. But we've gone through a lot of different things. It took a lot of different techniques, and I'll get into techniques. We'll talk about that later. But what's kind of been your story with this? And I know that like we've been talking about it a little bit because you had posted about it in the closed group at one point and was just trying to get some insight from some guys. How did that all kind of come about?
First, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah,
because you said something that just is real talk. You said something that I feel, and I don't think we are honest with we in general, the royal we. I don't think we are honest with ourselves as much as we really want to be. So when you said, you got mad, you got angry.
Yeah.
I'm just coming down here to play a game of Zingo.
Oh, Zingo, I love it. I'm just talking about poops with my buddy Brock.
Hi, my name is Mimi.
Hi, Mimi. I'm Brock. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Mimi. I'm Brock. He's on headphones.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you get the headphones. Hi, Mimi. I'm Brock.
Hi, my name's Mimi.
Hi.
Well, my poops have been great, and I'm pooping a yacht.
That's awesome.
That's true.
Woo-hoo!
That's true. All right, go play Zingo. I love you.
Bye.
Bye. That was perfect.
Yeah, right. It is what it is. That's real. We have an understanding through our lens. So when we're looking at the situation and you have the X-ray and you know what you know the truth. They're backed up. They're hurting. Your child is hurting, and it's like I will run through a concrete wall to help my child out, and it just builds up, and the anger. I've experienced that myself. I'm trying to keep as much of my thumb on top of it as possible, and yeah, honestly, it spiraled, and it didn't start to. It affected my relationship with my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we've been working. I've been working on getting back to a really good place, and I think we've really bounced back into a really good place, which again says something to the bond that you've built, presumably with your children. It's there. It's going to be there. You can have bumps on the road, you can bounce back. It was withholding, just pinching it off. And that's, I would notice her doing that because she would cross her legs and stand the way that I would do that when I was 4 and 5 years old, exactly the same way as all my cousins did. And so, this was an experience when I went through constipation as a kiddo. I'll remember exactly that I had the big old pill that you had to put up your butt, and then it, helped you poop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not
suppository.
fun. And as a 36-year-old man, I remember that vividly. So I don't want to have that experience. I don't want my children to have, that type of bad experience. So for me, it was a big thing of just trying to break that cycle and really trying to go approach this constipation through the right end. Because, forceful and just, that direct communication just wasn't getting there. We went to a specialist, and just going to dive right in what we learned. And the big key that I learned, getting back to kind of that anger part of like, what, it's inside of you. Why can't you just get it out? You have to poop. Right. You have poop there. When you are constipated, and this comes right from our GI specialist. And I just should say, I'm not a doctor, right? We're just kind of sharing our experiences.
Right, exactly.
So if your kiddo has problems, seek out a doctor, because for us, it was like, boom, instantly. We started to get different therapies. And anyways, but the big thing is, number one, they're backed up. You have to get them cleaned out. So whatever therapies to do that. Now, with withholding kiddos, enemas are like the worst thing that you could do typically. So it was like, for us, it was more like X-Lax and stuff, and that came from our doctor.
Yeah.
So we followed the regimen. After meals, going to the bathroom and having a set time after you eat to go to the bathroom, because biologically, you get food in your stomach, it presses down, and it, the nerves things, and then your body just starts to, work towards elimination. So that's when you're going to have, the best chance of success. Kind of getting ahead of myself. Sorry.
You're fine.
Number one is get them cleaned out.
Yep. Definitely get them cleaned out.
And then keep them cleaned out is the biggest point, because that, after every meal, sit down and try for poops. You need to stay cleaned out. And then for us, it was very important to keep the consistency at that, soft pudding, because just to keep it easy, because the point is your insides, your colon and your large intestines get stretched out when you are backed up. And you saw that in the x-ray.
Yeah.
Our GI specialist shared with us that it's a typical 12 to 14 month process for your colon and your large intestines to get back down to normal size. And then the biggest point are the nerves inside there. If you're stretched out and you're backed up and your nerves are not working properly, that message of I have to poop is not getting to your brain. So like that reverse engineers all of that anger that I was feeling, like, okay, she literally like mechanically cannot feel it right now because her nerves are not working properly.
Yeah.
So any of this, like, do you feel poops? Or the kiddo would be smart and say, I don't want to go poops. I don't feel poops right now. Well, you're not going to feel poops for a while. Doctor said the messages with your nerves are a little bit jumbled right now.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
Continue.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop you for a second. No, you're good. That was a lot of stuff there. I just wanted to stop you. So,
I know.
No, you're fine. You're
just
fine.
Jumping in.
No, I think it's great because I knew you were coming in with a lot of information. I just want to sort of spread it out. But so when you were talking about the whole like trying to get it out, that kind of thing, like that's been the thing that we climbed quite a mountain on that. And still, like, I feel like we come to that point where we're still dealing with that with him being 7. For us, like we were doing the, it's not an enema. I don't know what it is. Like, it's like something you squeeze like into their butt. Like, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
like a liquid. I can't remember what that's called exactly. Glycerin. We used that for a little while, and he was not happy about that, and I felt horrible doing it. It was like, all right, we're not gonna go that route. We ended up finding out like the chocolate X-Lax worked really well.
That's where we are.
We also found that prunes, because he felt like for him, like he kind of categorized them as candy. was like, I want prunes. And we're like, great. We'd give him like a bowl of prunes. They're
awesome.
like, go have at it.
That's
Have at
great.
it, my man. Like, enjoy them. And that would seem to move things along. We're at the point now where it's more of, when he gets that way, we'll use a stool softener. He can swallow a pill on his own.
Okay.
And so we'll give him a stool softener. That has good and bad implications to it. So it really moves things along, but boy, you have to be ready for it. And like you said, like the nerves are not talking to the brain of like, hey, I'm about to release.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get to the toilet. It's more along the lines of like, hey, I've already done this, and shoot, now I need to go. And it's like, basically, when we get to that point, sometimes I'm just like, all right, like, how many times am I going to have to clean this kid up at 7 years old?
Oh man. Yeah.
But so it's like I said, it's still a battle in some ways for us. But the nice part is that we've got some different things put in place that work. But
yes,
I feel
that's
awful
key.
for him at the same time. It's just like, man, kid, like, for us too, the other thing is like keeping him hydrated. Kids are horrible at drinking water. I feel like, like you have to basically be offering it to them every hour or every half an hour, even some kind of amount of water. And I find that, if you don't, they're not even thinking about it, because they're just like, I just want to play. I just want to go do all these other things. You're like, okay.
I feel that for sure. That's exactly the same thing. You get her a couple extra cups of juice throughout the day, and pooping's a lot easier. It's just this is just so common. Talking about, I just feel so bad for the kiddo when they're in that state. It's just so common. It's remarkably common. Did your kiddo get to the point where you're backed up and you're constipated, but you're starting to do these things like we would do, like a Miralax, which is like trying to absorb more water into the GI system, so it kind of just gets things more loosened up, but they're already backed up, and it's already so compact that when you add more water into that system, just little bits of that water come sneaking through.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like the worst of the most acidic, abrasive. So this is common too, by the way, if you're listening.
Is that where you get the comment of like, my ass is burning? Like, because that's what I feel like. That was my son's thing. He's like, my butt is on fire.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my
gosh,
gosh, wow.
Yeah. You're backed up, but these like acidic juices are just kind of sneaking out because your body is screaming for any sort of relief. So then you get this like worst of both scenarios where you're backed up and you have ouchie butt between your cheeks, which is that diaper rash, and then you really don't want to go sit in the toilet because you are raw and backed up. And then you're thinking, this big poop's got to come out of me. And kiddos are smart. So, and then you have a withholder. So how many things do you want to stack up on top of? By the way, my anxiety is now proven out because of the rawness of my butt. So I was like, go to a specialist. I don't know what to do to help my kiddo out. Hydration. We are on a regimen, but one of the, again, kind of hitting that point, one of the biggest things is that once we're cleaned out and we've been maintaining it clean, it's kind of climbed a little bit. We've been a little constipated, backed up, and then we have really big poops. But lately we've been really, really good. Once you stay cleaned out, I mean, again, it's like a 12-month minimum type of deal. So we're on month 2.5.
It's a marathon.
So it's going very well, but don't get it twisted. We got a ways to go. So it's, hydration and the regimen and after the eating, that's been the biggest key for us. If I can remember throughout the day with the 1-year-old and, can we do this? Can we do that? Just trying to remember, let's go do a bathroom break. But whatever it takes at that point, she's got an Amazon tablet, she's got her games. So then she knows when it's time to go try for poops, she's got alone time with her tablet where her 1-year-old sister can't come and bug her. So like, it's a win for her. We figured out what that motivator toy special thing is. Cause I know other people have mentioned in the closed group, like, if there's a reward system, M&Ms or Skittles, but then you hear also like, maybe don't equate food with rewards or whatever, but like parent your child, whatever your child is motivated by and whatever will help you, do that. just do that.
Yeah. Well, and two, like, yeah. And I think sometimes too, like the whole, like, oh, don't associate like food with rewards. Like, I think there's a fear that that's going to transpire into other things come years later or whatever. And I think that it really comes down to like, hey, like we're doing this as a way, like you can come to a point where you just have that conversation of like, this was for this situation. It's no longer an issue.
Mhm.
So we can kind of move out of that and move on to other things. And basically categorizing it as such, I feel like is very important. Like not leaving it to the side of like where food could be the like award system for things. It's like, no, like that's how it gets unhealthy, is not having that continual conversation. So I that's great that you brought that up, because yeah, definitely you get, like I said, you get all those different people giving you ideas and stuff, and you do have to really be like, well, that's not bad, that seems to work for their kids, I don't know that that'll work for my kids, like kind of thing. And just kind of
I found out,
play it as you go.
Discovered that the headstrong leadership qualities that I'm recognizing in my daughter, like a lot of the times, and I don't want her to hear this, a lot of the times just giving her a choice of something, randomly, like, here's the thing, we're gonna go poop, and when we're done, you get to pick what we do next. Like, whoa, what? Like, she has the world is open to her, and she gets to decide what two other human beings are doing. Like, that control is just it's great for her. So it's just kind of offering that up, like, parent your child, you do what is going to work, or find that thing that's going to help you out. But man, this has been the most frustrating part of parenting. But then also, like, when things are starting to go well, it's such a relief. Pun intended. It is such a relief.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that, when you find those just pieces that fit in to like move you forward in your parenting and just with the relationship with your child, like it just adds to like, all right, great. Like it even, I feel like it even gives you like this little boost of confidence as a parent. Like, hey, like, all right, I figured this out. It was quite the trial, but we figured it out. And then when something else arises, like you can find little bits of that, like, and use it to your ability for like the next hurdle that you come to. And that was the other thing I was thinking about when it was kind of putting this topic together after we had the conversation about like, the constipation and the challenge of it. And I'm like, man, like just the whole idea of like other scenarios, medical scenarios that you might run into where you're like, okay, like how do we come out of this kind of thing? Like how does that work? So like for me, I know that I think the two biggest ones for me are, one, my daughter, who has like fallen a couple of times and like scraped her face up. And you're like, holy crap, like what do you do in that situation? It's like, because you immediately feel awful, but at the same time too, it's like, all right, I got to take care of this kid. And then of course you get to walk around the grocery stores with your kid with a big old scrape on your face, that, and then people coming up and be like, what happened, sweetie? And you're just like, oh. But yeah, that's so
Daddy wasn't watching.
Yeah. The best part, the worst part was that Daddy was watching, honestly.
Oh geez. Okay.
Well, it's just the kids are fast. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's not like you have Jedi reflexes all the time. That's like, but in both occasions, like the one she was running towards me, and the other one she was away from me, and she took a step off of the steps and just lost her balance. And it was like, you're like, dang it.
Oh.
So and the other one for me was my son actually cut the corner of his lip in as he fell off of a stool. Kids and falling, I swear, like it's just synonymous. But he fell off a stool and like cut his lip and had to get like stitches. We had to go to the ER on like Thanksgiving night a few years back. But it was wild. Like 2 kids are resilient a lot of times too. Like, I don't know. My son seems to have a really high pain tolerance. Like once I got the blood stopped, he was done crying and we walked in, the doctors are like, what's wrong with him? We're like, he's got a huge cut, but just having that, like, all right, I've got to try to be solid as I can. And how do I do that? Like for some it's easy, some it's hard. It just depends on what it is. But I think as you move through them, like finding those little bits, like just build your confidence out.
Well, and kiddos feel it too.
Yeah.
You know, so if it's massively stressful for you in this situation, imagine what it is for them. Imagine how that feels for them.
Right.
And if it's a relief for you, you know, being able to look at your kiddo and be like, all right, you had some massive poops. I mean, they're like size of my poops. Great job. And you're just like high-fiving. I mean, I ran out in the hallway, high-fived my wife, and I'm like, Mimi's pooping, you know, like it was this awesome thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna go down. I don't care if I have to go in there with a butter knife. Like I'm so proud and I'm so happy, you know. But imagine what they're feeling. And first of all, like the physical relief is just overwhelming for them. Like she turned into her old self overnight, but also like that psychological healing portion of things, you know, where you can try to have that conversation of like, you know, mommy and daddy didn't quite understand. We thought we were trying to help, you know, telling you this and telling you that and trying to encourage. Well, we met with the doctor and the doctor said this and we doing the doctor things and it's working and you are doing great. We're not doing it. Is it daddy's poops? No, it is your poops.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, you know, building them up and they're accomplishing and they're fixing, quote unquote, fixing this big problem, you know, and it's just like, and you heard it in her voice. So she's like, I'm pooping really, really good. And like, she loves telling people about her awesome poops because it's a place of confidence now.
Yeah.
And that is a huge deal. I mean, to your point of, yeah, we figured this out. I mean, for me, with the help of the specialist, and I'm so thankful. But yeah, we figured it out. And in those moments of, you know, mommy and daddy were trying to help and we might not have been perfectly right, but we're trying hard. And you kind of have that moment of, we all just were working together and it might've been messy, you know, but we got to the end as a family. And that accomplishment is you can apply that again to the other things that are going to pop up in life. Like this ain't nothing. We got through constipation. Like this is going to be no big deal. You know, when she turns 15 and gets her permit for driving, like that is no big deal. We went through constipation. That's going to be fine.
I love how you're going to equate that. Equal those two together. We'll come back to you in a few years and see how that works out. But yeah, no, but
yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Right. But I think that too, I mean, like you said, you hear it in her voice when she was on there, but yeah, I think that just hearing her, you know, be excited about it and just, you know, her cheering, you know, and wanting to share, like that's great. Like she's showing just an accomplishment that's going on with her, and I'm sure at some point, like it'll probably somewhat in a way be embarrassing to her, but right now, like it's a great thing. So that's really cool, man. I didn't expect her to come in and do all that. So that was awesome.
I thought she was going to bed. Little squirt.
Gotta love that. I feel like you've shared some really good stuff about just, you know, leaning on some medical professionals for help and not getting down on yourself about it and just trying to stay positive. Like those are some very key elements to not only just this situation with constipation, but just other situations that parents are going to come into. And that's the thing I love about the closed group is you get to see these dads who are in these different situations and they're sharing kind of what's going on, asking for advice in there too. And you get guys who are like, yeah, I've done this, but you know, honestly, like maybe you should go see one of these specialists or something like that. So it's great that they're not just getting a like, hey, like we'll try to help you just within the group with what the different guys are. But it's like, I went to these people. They're the ones that helped me. Like, so don't take my word for it. Like, just know that this is where it's coming from.
Like, yeah, I remember when I posted, I remember posting like, I love you guys. Please hear me right. Please hear this correctly. Don't tell me to try prunes. We tried prunes a year ago. We're past prunes. You know, like.
Yeah. Nope. I hear you, man. It works for a time in some ways, and sometimes it doesn't work at all.
but where we are now,
yeah,
that's also kind of a big point. Where we are now, we are cleaned out, and we are maintaining a really good consistency. And you know, prunes are introduced, and they're sweet little candy deals.
Yeah.
So prunes help right now for sure. It was just that moment. It was just like, honestly, the only thing that he needed was a specialist.
Yeah.
And that for me in my family's unique situation, and, and I know all of the mental stuff that I'm bringing from my own childhood, like I needed to do that specific pathway.
Yeah.
It's just like went to the peds, we needed a specialist, and we're done trying to do this on our own, and tell me what to do and I will do it.
No, I think that's great. Yeah. That you get to that point, realize that's kind of where you are, and it works out. So that's great. I don't know that there's really much else to discuss in the line of poop. And if you've made it to this point of the conversation, then kudos to you, because who knows? But it was definitely fun to get a talk to get a talk with you, Kyle, and just get a chance to share your story and what's going on. I will say this for anybody listening, that Kyle is our first guest on this show, and he will not be the last, nor will this be the last time you see him on this show. We'll bring him on for some other stuff too. He's fun to talk to.
I'll keep my distance. Don't worry.
If you notice, if you're listening or if you're watching on the YouTube, you get to see what shirt Kyle's wearing. If you're not, then he's got the DadCon at Home shirt from this year.
Yeah, what's up?
And Kyle and I met actually last year in Minneapolis, and so it was cool to hang out with him there. So that's another way that we got connected, actually, was through the convention. So
and what a convention it was.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And we've got another one coming up here in about 10 months in October here in Cincinnati. So definitely go to homedadcon.org to check out tickets there. But if you've got a story, like if you've got something you want to share on a topic and you're hearing this, like reach out to us, leave us a message so that we can talk with you, because we're looking for other topics, other subjects to discuss on the podcast. And so the more we can keep this fresh, we can keep this going, and it'll just be that much more enjoyable for everybody listening. And definitely dads of multiple ages, cultures, backgrounds, how many kids you got. And that's always helpful for just spreading out the topics there as well. So Kyle, thanks so much for coming on tonight. And I look forward to just seeing what other conversations we can have, and hopefully things keep moving forward with Mimi and her progress on things. And yeah, you have a good one.
Just keep pooping, man. Just keep pooping.
Is it like the just keep swimming? Like,
yeah,
just keep
pooping, just keep pooping. What do? We poop, we poop, we pooping, pooping. Just keep pooping.
That's awesome. Just keep pooping.
Can't get any better than that. We got to quit after that. That's it. That's a wrap.
All right. That's a wrap.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.